Serious. I mean, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were saying all through the game, boy, they're really letting them play. They're really letting them play. And they're just like, yeah, that's good as long as they, and they were consistent. And then what do? When Brady throws another errant pass, they call pass interference. First of all, it wasn't pass interference. It was only holding. But they had been doing it all game.
It was probably the deflated ball. How did he even get away with that?
I don't know. I don't know. He just, it makes me just, I almost put my foot through the television. It was horrible. Joel had to let the dog outside. I was so upset. Anyway, I'm still upset by it. Sorry about that. There's few things that are in sports that are thick like that, but Packer football and bad calls on the field. Okay, so let your blood pressure get down. So now what you have to do is you have to look at from point O to point T. So you look at that segment on your graph. Do you have everything labeled?
Yeah.
Okay. How long is that segment? 2 little squares. So let's call little squares units for the sake of having to spend all day counting millimeters and what have you. We'll say that each one of the little squares is a unit. So when we write the measure of something, we would just put the letters OT. That means the measure of segment OT. So the measurement of segment OT is 2 units. So that's in our pre-image. Now what we want to do is we want to find segment O prime T prime. And what is its measure? Is the same?
No.
Oh, you said 6? Not the same. So that's 6 units. Can you find that? Can you put your finger on it? You're not caught up. We need these points. Yeah, you need those points graphed. These points need to be graphed on here. And then point P is 01, so we need to label that as such. You don't have your, or do you have your points labeled? You do. Do you have all of your prime points labeled? You were not here. You did not do what you're supposed to do. You have to play catch up real fast, but your book will.
I only know.
You got all your points on there. You weren't here. Okay, so. Okay, so you have those points?
Wait, so what do we put in our books then if?
Here, let me put this one up for you guys.
Mr.
That is not what that was at.
Isn't it out? Yeah, that's out.
Do you have that coordinates?
Oh, gotta turn it on. Thanks, Isla. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you guys have the table of values. So the first set of points that you put in here, your pre-image points, if you connect them, they're going to look like this. I think we said something that's going to look like the Little Dipper. Okay. A little measuring cup. There it is. From P to O to I to N to T. So then when we measured O to T, that's across the top. So from O to T was 2 units. Can I write on this thing now?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So then the next thing you're supposed to do is measure from O prime to T prime, but we have to have these points labeled. So if this is point P, this is P prime, which is 0, 3. this is O prime, this is O. So P to O becomes P prime to O prime across here. And then from O to I should become from O to I prime. And I remember when we did this, somebody commented, oh, they overlap. So some of you have this drawn in. The rest of us need to draw it in.
You want us to trace along those lines?
Yeah, I'd like you to trace along that line. And then when we go from I to N, on the pre-image, the image is going to go from I prime to N prime. So that's going to be all the way across here. And then likewise, from N to T becomes N prime to T prime, which is along this edge. That's right, mine is in color too.
Is there a reason we didn't do the ER with that?
The ER? What do you mean ER?
Pointer.
Oh, is it pointer?
Yeah.
Oh.
So when they say find the lengths, I guess you don't need the ER, but you need it for number 4.
I
thought you were talking about
You look at the full word was
Oh, sure, they have E and R, don't they?
pointer.
Yeah, they have E and R.
You only need it for number 4 for the last
So
question.
we should do it anyway. So point E should be 4-1 and point R should be 2-3. Yeah, so then we're gonna add E prime and R prime.
Do we put that in our books?
What's that?
Do we put all of this in our book?
Yeah, all this should be in your notebook.
Wait a minute.
And this is the measure of segment OT. That's how that gets, so that one gets read that way. So then what does the image of point E become as an ordered pair? What's it become? 12-3. And what does the image of R become? 6-9. Okay, so then we can add those points on. So E is 4-1, and R is 2-3. So that becomes this. Is that what it's gonna be?
Maybe it's supposed to be a house?
No, it's supposed to be a pointer,
Oh.
I think. But it looks like the edge of a house, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Boy, this gets really, really,
We need like the 1-inch graph paper.
I know, but I don't wanna do it all over again.
I know.
How crowded are we? Oh, these guys they're pretty good with this crowded stuff.
Yeah, they're really neat.
And if you wanna outline your, segments in 2 different colors, just come and get colored pencils. That might be a whole lot easier to look at.
Shoes.
Huh?
What's the 12-3?
Yeah, look, you wanna like move my hand in front of us and just like. Oh,
Two different
Go, 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 go.
This is gonna be harder than the homework.
Wait, is the homework gonna be harder?
I don't know, no, I said this is gonna be harder than the homework. So you got D prime and R prime? So to get here, we did times 3. Looks like those coordinates times 3. Make sure you have your table of values as well, so Anna's got all the lengths P through R and P prime through R prime. Like what I've got on the board.
Would you want to connect all of this?
Yeah, in order, POI, POI, yeah, so you're gonna go. And back up to Yeah, it looks like the side of a house, doesn't it?
Measure,
Like so. So this is the pre-image down here. And then this much larger is the image.
oh wait, that says pre, oh. I thought that said primage. Down the right.
Oh, pre-image.
Okay.
Yeah, pre-image, and then the image. Nobody does. Okay, so I'm gonna write on here.
He's just I think he just added E and R because I didn't have.
Yeah, I'm just adding the E and the R. Okay, and then underneath this, I'm gonna say that OT is 2 units. So this is just stuff that's written on the board yet. And then O prime, T prime is 6 units. So are we caught up enough we can keep moving?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, hold on.
So there's 2 comparisons that they're asking us to make. The first comparison is a comparison of length. So one of the things that we're supposed to get out of this lesson is that when we have a size change, and in this case the size change is a size change of 3, what happened to the change in length? Times 3. It gets tripled also. So whatever this size change factor is the change in length. Now, area. Now what they would like us to do is they would like us to box off from O to T. So that's this little section here. I've got a shading in it. So when they outline this rectangle here, in the book they want us to look at the rectangle INTO. So from I to N to T to O. So from I to N to T to O. That's this little rectangle here. So when we had it looking like a measuring cup, that would be the cup part of it. So how many squares are here? There are 2. So INTO, that's a quadrilateral. The area is 2 square units. So I'm just going to write it like that. The area is 2 square units. Any questions on that? What is the image of INTO? So INTO is the original rectangle that gets made when we put in this small little section here. What is its image called? Don't lean back like that, please. Hard on the shirts. What is the name of its image? What is the geometric name of its image? INTO is the pre-image because it comes from these points, INT and O. So the geometric image of that is INTO prime. So that would be this big rectangle here. So I prime, N prime, T prime, O prime is this whole section. And what is its area?
It is 6 square units.
That was a really quick answer. Count them up. 18. It's not 6.
Oh, so it's not.
This is like one of the big concepts in math for you guys over the next, how many years, I don't know. And it's one of the most applicable concepts that there is. If you make something bigger in 2 dimensions, both of those dimensions are a part of its change in area. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, or 18, how many times taller, if we think of tall as up and down on your paper, how many times taller is the image? And how many times wider is the image? It's 3. So what is 3 times 3? This is 2. This is 9 times as big.
There's 2, because this one's one unit tall, 2 units tall, 3 units tall, so it's triple. 1 and 3.
Do you remember sometime in the last year and a half,
Okay, I was thinking.
I did this with you. And I think it was when we were doing unit converting. And it was talking about square feet. A square foot measures 1 foot by 1 foot. How many inches are in a foot? 12. So if I change this into inches, I don't know if I'm going to make it. There's 12 this direction, and then there's 12 inches in that direction. So 1 square foot is how many square inches?
12. Oh,
It's not 12, there's 12 right there.
144.
144. Yeah. Because, see, to get that square foot, we took 1 foot multiplied by 1 foot. But then when you do it in inches, it's 12 inches times 12 inches, because each of these feet is 12 times as many inches. So that's where you get the 144 square inches from. And the same thing happens with size changes. The length becomes 3 times as long when you have a size change of 3. But the area is 3 times as wide and 3 times as long. So it's 3 times 3. So that second power, you take the size change to the power that you're measuring. And here we're measuring in 2 directions.
Is that what it's to the second power?
That's describing how many dimensions you have. That's why the second power is there, yes. Okay. Times 3. Yeah, volume is to the third. Yeah, if you did the third power like a volume, if you made something 3 times as tall and 3 times as wide and 3 times as deep, then it would be 3 times 3 times 3 for the change in volume. It would be taken to the third power. We'll do volume eventually, but not right now. We'll just look at area. What's that?
Isn't volume like 3-dimensional area?
It's not 3-dimensional area, it's 3 dimensions.
Oh.
Yeah, you wouldn't take 3-dimensional area. Wow.
That was fast.
Yeah, it is. Mondays are no fun. But you know what? I can send you out of here being able to do some of your work. Oh, yeah, what? Why wouldn't they? Will you need a calculator? No, the numbers are easy to work with. They need to work in front of us. No, we're just gonna work in class tomorrow.
Yay.
Margie saw.
So you're from Flatland?
Good idea.
Small book.
Oh.
Really old. It's about, I guess it's more philosophical, but it's math. It's about a point that goes into all the different dimensions and like what happens. It's really interesting. But it's more like philosophy about like games. It relates to math.
Yeah, I never had anything. You know, here's one of the issues that we have. I had to do 7. I had 6. Some of the language is 7.
No.
Was introduced. A lot of the language, all of it,
Yeah.
was introduced in the pre-algebra. You're welcome. In the pre-algebra. No, he didn't have
It's
it.
either that or.
Yeah.
I had these things. And we were using that. And then COVID hit. And by then, we were using pre-transition.
But they miss. Yeah, I bet I Jamie did. Selfie did. Emma did.
No, Emma didn't.
She did it?
Lucia did.
Am I the only one who thinks?
But that's all that was there
Okay.
in terms of showing up for discussion. The rest of them, they just look at the back.
Oh, yeah. I didn't really.
You know, protocol for rules.
That's
Now
not
they can come in and know we're upgraded than what they have.
Dude, Alex, you're gonna go to your
So,
house. I'm like, where did that, where did you go to your?
but the
You
rest
can
of the
tell
kids.
them the kids that have accent, at least for the answer.
To my house.
Yeah, okay.
They were the ones that were all there.
I was like,
I've just.
Fine. I got something Tennessee story.
I know,
Alright, I'm going to math
Yeah,
too.
so sometimes we go and we get slowed down.
That's okay. It's okay.
I think
I have inequalities right now, so. That's fine.
graphing inequalities,
No, just for them to, multiplication of inequalities,
multiplication,
making sides equal and then being able to factor out,
solving.
yeah, so it's the ax plus b equals c.
The big problem ends up being,
But I don't even think they know what an inequality is, so every time I get a new chapter, I have to start at the beginning and then
yeah,
work forward, so it usually takes 2 or 3 days.
once they start solving them, the problem that they're gonna have is knowing when to look at the inequality symbol and
Yeah.
knowing why. Why
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah, I don't even know why.
Oh, you should phone up on it. Okay.